Welcome to our monthly roundup of the most shocking and mind-boggling news from the artificial intelligence arena. In this video, we'll be covering all advancements in the AI world, from sensors mimicking human emotions, AI altering perceptions, touchscreen allowing users to touch objects, and the question as to AI responsibility in the Metaverse, all the way to AI saving wildlife, wearables and AI coming together, and the risks and cautions that are a must with AI. We have it all and more. Don't forget to watch to the very end to catch up with all things robotic happening right around you. But before we begin, how about subscribing to our channel and pressing the bell icon to never miss out on another upload of ours? With that said, let's jump right in. Highlights of the month. Automatic human reaction mimicked by sensor. Can a robot ever mimic human emotions? A new robotic sensor that mimics the automatic human reaction to heat is being hailed as a world first. The device has been built by a team of experts from Liverpool Hope University who say it's the first sensor that can trigger this sensory impulse that the robotics community has yet seen. Lead author Alexander Ko-Abad of Hope's School of Mathematics, Computer Science and Engineering says the system is so robust it can measure temperature changes of 30 degrees Celsius per second, similar to how someone might quickly pull their hand away from the threat of being burned. He says the wireless, Wi-Fi-enabled sensor could have numerous real-world applications, from space exploration to surgical procedures, and even creating thermosensitive soft robots in the near future. Abad adds, this feature could be useful for soft robots to act equivalent to humans' withdrawal reflex in touching hot surfaces in search and rescue, industrial applications, and space explorations. Artificial emotional intelligence could alter perceptions. This brings us to the topic of socially assistive robots, which are a class of robotic systems specifically designed to help vulnerable or older users to complete everyday activities. In addition to increasing their independence, these robots could stimulate users mentally and offer basic emotional support. To support users most effectively, however, these robots should be able to engage in meaningful social interactions, identifying the emotions of users and responding appropriately to them. This could ultimately increase the user's trust in the robots, while also promoting their emotional well-being. Researchers at University of Denver, Dreamface Technologies, and University of Colorado have recently carried out a small pilot study aimed at exploring how the perceptions of older adults using socially assistive robots change depending on whether these robots have an artificial emotional intelligence or not. Their findings suggest that senior adults tend to perceive robots programmed to behave more empathetically as more engaging and likable. The researchers carried out their study on 10 older adults living at Eaton Senior Communities, an independent senior care facility in Lakewood, Colorado. The participants were asked to interact with a socially assistive robot created by Dreamface Technologies called Ryan and subsequently share their feedback and perceptions. The researchers used two different versions of the robot, one exhibiting empathetic behavior and the other having no responses to a user's emotions. The empathetic Ryan utilizes a multimodal emotion recognition algorithm and a multimodal emotion expression system, Hojat Abdullahi and his colleagues explained in their paper. Using different input modalities for emotion, that is, facial expression and speech sentiment, the empathetic Ryan detects users' emotional state and utilizes an effective dialogue manager to generate a response. On the other hand, the non-empathetic Ryan lacks facial expression and uses scripted dialogues that do not factor in the user's emotional state. Touchscreens that allow users to feel objects. The next time you buy a new couch, you may not ever have to leave your old one to get a feel for the texture of the new material. At Texas A&M University, a leading team is working to better define how the finger interacts with the device, with the hope of aiding in the further development of technology that goes beyond sensing and reacting to your touch. The team's research was recently published and featured on the cover of the journal Advanced Materials. The ultimate goal of furthering this human-machine interface is to give touch devices the ability to provide users with a richer touch-based experience by equipping the technology with the ability to mimic the feeling of physical objects. Hipwell shared examples of potential implementations ranging from a more immersive virtual reality platform to tactile display interfaces like those in a motor vehicle dashboard and a virtual shopping experience that would let the user feel the texture of materials before purchasing them. This could allow you to actually feel textures, buttons, slides, and knobs on the screen, Hipwell said. It can be used for interactive touchscreen-based displays, but one holy grail would certainly be being able to bring touch into shopping so that you could feel the texture of fabrics and other products while you're shopping online. AI outperforms expert instructors in neurosurgical training. The COVID-19 pandemic has presented both challenges and opportunities for medical training. Remote learning technology has become increasingly important in several fields. A new study finds that, in a remote environment, an AI tutoring system can outperform expert human instructors. The Neurosurgical Simulation and Artificial Intelligence Learning Center at the Montreal Neurological Institute Hospital recruited 70 medical students to perform virtual brain tumor removals on a neurosurgical simulator. Students were randomly assigned to receive instruction and feedback by either an AI tutor or a remote expert instructor, with a third control group receiving no instruction. An AI-powered tutor called the Virtual Operative Assistant, or VOA, used a machine learning algorithm to teach safe and efficient surgical technique and provided personalized feedback, while a deep learning Intelligent Continuous Expertise Monitoring System, or ICEMS, and a panel of experts assessed student performance. In the other group, remote instructors watched a live feed of the surgical simulations and provided feedback based on the students' performance. The researchers found that students who received VOA instruction and feedback learned surgical skills 2.6 times faster and achieved 36% better performance compared to those who received instruction and feedback from remote instructors. And while researchers expected students instructed by VOA to experience greater stress and negative emotion, they found no significant difference between the two groups. Facial analysis benefits diagnosis. Many sufferers of rare diseases endure an odyssey until the correct diagnosis is made. The goal is to detect such diseases at an early stage and initiate appropriate therapy as soon as possible, says Professor Dr. Peter Krawitz from the Institute for Genomic Statistics and Bioinformatics at the University Hospital Bonn in Germany. The majority of rare diseases are genetic. The underlying hereditary mutations often cause varying degrees of impairment in different areas of the body. In most cases, these hereditary changes are also expressed by characteristic facial features. For example, because eyebrows, the base of the nose, or the cheeks are shaped in a distinctive way. However, this varies from disease to disease. Artificial intelligence, or AI, uses these facial characteristics, calculates the similarities, and automatically links them to clinical symptoms and genetic data of patients. The face provides us with a starting point for diagnosis, says Tsung-Chien Xie of Krawitz's team. It is possible to calculate what the disease is with a high degree of accuracy. The AI system Gestalt Matcher, described in the current publication, is a continued development of Deep Gestalt, which the IGSB team trained with other institutions a few years ago. While Deep Gestalt still required about 10 non-related affected persons as a reference for training, its successor, Gestalt Matcher, requires significantly fewer patients for feature matching. This is a great advantage in the group of very rare diseases where only a few patients are reported worldwide. A great initiative, isn't it? Question of AI responsibility in the Metaverse. According to a recent Bloomberg intelligence report, the Metaverse is a staggering $800 billion market. Still others argue about what the Metaverse actually is, but with so much money and curiosity surrounding it, it has everyone talking. Undoubtedly, AI will play a huge role in the Metaverse, especially as we communicate with others. While we'll be more connected than ever, AI untethered to any government, standard, or ethical code can have diabolical implications. As former Google CEO Eric Schmidt asked recently, who gets to set the rules? Because AI algorithms are built by people with biases, they can be created to follow the thought patterns and biases of their creators, which can then multiply. We've seen how AI can create gender bias, for example, or how AI can give larger credit card limits to men than women, or that certain ethnicities are more prone to unfair bias. To create a flourishing and more equitable metaverse, dark AI patterns that can create and perpetuate bias need to be addressed. But Who gets to decide? And how can humans avoid bias? The solution to mitigate this unchecked AI is to develop ethical standards across all organizations. From our view, dark AI patterns can be invasive. Most AI is developed without ethical oversight, and this must change in the metaverse. Is AI saving wildlife? There's a strand of thinking, from sci-fi films to Stephen Hawking, that suggests artificial intelligence could spell doom for humans. But conservationists are increasingly turning to AI as an innovative tech solution to tackle the biodiversity crisis and mitigate climate change. A recent report by wildlabs.net found that AI was one of the top 3 emerging technologies in conservation. From camera trap and satellite images to audio recordings, the report notes AI can learn how to identify which photos out of thousands contain rare species, or pinpoint an animal call out of hours of field recordings, hugely reducing the manual labor required to collect vital conservation data. AI is helping to protect species as diverse as humpback whales, koalas, and snow leopards, supporting the work of scientists, researchers, and rangers in vital tasks, from anti-poaching patrols to monitoring species. With machine learning or ML computer systems that use algorithms and models to learn, understand, and adapt, AI is often able to do the job of hundreds of people, getting faster, cheaper, and more effective results. AI helps preserving wildlife in not one, but various different ways, such as stopping poachers, tracking water loss, finding whales, protecting koalas, as well as counting species. Wearables and AI coming together to revolutionize healthcare. Artificial intelligence capabilities are many and extremely valuable, no doubt about that. One of the challenges that we encounter today is the fact that doctor's time is reduced and very limited, so the doctor cannot deal with patient's data, and being asked to create inexistent time is more or less impossible. That's where AI comes in. Wearables are already being used to monitor heart rate, body temperature, blood pressure, and glucose levels. Artificial intelligence, or AI, can do a lot more. For instance, nowadays, wearables are able to read the movements of the user and understand their commands to optimize the fitness and health metric. Being able to analyze such data is just one of many possibilities that AI has opened for your wearables. Artificial intelligence is a future that is only decades away. As the IoT evolves, wearables will be able to better understand and interact with us. There are many examples of AI applications in medical insurance, health management, and even in retail. These are just a few ways you can use wearables in healthcare. The combination of wearables and AI will be the game changer in healthcare. We all know that wearables bring immense value in capturing health data, and they will be crucial for healthcare delivery of the future. Artificial intelligence can do so much, from analyzing laboratory results to supporting decision-making for patient care. The first wave of wearable devices have been out for some time now, including smartwatches, fitness trackers, and even new devices like Google Glass. Many people are skeptical about the value of wearable devices, but also many believe that wearable devices are a necessary step in our journey towards a healthier lifestyle. As we have seen with wearables and AI, it is important that we understand how those two elements work together to ensure that the device is truly useful and effective in a wide range of situations. GRAPHCORE uses chip tech to speed AI by 40%. UK-based AI computer company GRAPHCORE made a significant boost to its computer's performance without changing much of anything about its specialized AI processor cores. The secret was to use TSMC's wafer-on-wafer 3D integration technology during manufacture to attach a power delivery chip to GRAPHCORE's AI processor. The new combined chip, called BO, for a district in London, is the first on the market to use wafer-on-wafer bonding, says GRAPHCORE executives. The addition of the power delivery silicon means BO can run faster, 1.85 GHz versus 1.35 GHz, and at lower voltage than its predecessor. That translates to computers that train neural nets up to 40% faster with as much as 16% less energy compared to its previous generation. Importantly, users get this improvement with no change to their software at all. Still using real data to train your AI? It may be counterintuitive, but some argue that the key to training AI systems that must work in messy real-world environments, such as self-driving cars and warehouse robots, is not, in fact, real-world data. Instead, some say synthetic data is what will unlock the true potential of AI. Synthetic data is generated instead of collected, and the consultancy Gartner has estimated that 60% of data used to train AI systems will be synthetic. But its use is controversial, as questions remain about whether synthetic data can accurately mirror real-world data and prepare AI systems for real-world situations. NVIDIA has embraced the synthetic data trend and is striving to be a leader in the young industry. In November, NVIDIA founder and CEO Jensen Huang announced the launch of the Omniverse Replicator, which NVIDIA describes as an engine for generating synthetic data with ground truth for training AI networks. Standard certification testing, the Internet of Things. From human speech to quantum encryption, communication relies on protocols that are mutually understood and reliably implemented. Without them, there is only noise. In the world of electronic communications, standard certification makes sure that everybody knows the rules and plays by them. Comarch, the $500 million IT company with headquarters in Krakow, Poland, and offices in 100 countries, is playing a leading role in developing automated standards certification systems. In 2007, Comarch began working with the UPnP Forum, now part of the Open Connectivity Foundation, to certify universal plug-and-play compliance for personal computers, Wi-Fi access points, routers, audio-visual, and other devices on home-scale networks. Over the years, Comarch has steadily expanded its work with multiple standards organizations. In October 2021, when the AVNU Alliance debuted its test tool for the Milan Advanced Certification Program for time-sensitive networks, Comarch distilled 15 years of automated certification testing into its new Comarch Automated Testing Framework to make it happen. Thanks to CATF, AVNU could promise its members faster, easier, more convenient, and less expensive testing that would guarantee performance and interoperability of high-speed devices for audiovisual, automotive, and industrial applications. Applications that demand security, reliability, efficient use of available bandwidth, adaptation to varying latency, and ultra-precise timing. Caution needed for AI in mammography. Some bad always seems to accompany the good, isn't it so? Analyzing breast cancer tumors with artificial intelligence has the potential to improve healthcare efficiency and outcomes. But doctors should proceed cautiously because similar technological leaps previously led to higher rates of false positive tests and overtreatment. That's according to a new editorial in JAMA Health Forum co-written by Joanne G. Elmore, MD, MPH, a researcher at the UCLA Johnson Comprehensive Cancer Center, the Rosalind and Arthur Gilbert Foundation Endowed Chair in Healthcare Delivery, and Professor of Medicine at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. Without a more robust approach to the evaluation and implementation of AI, given the unabated adoption of emergent technology in clinical practice, we are failing to learn from our past mistakes in mammography, the JAMA Health Forum editorial states. The piece, posted online Friday, was co-written with Christoph I. Lee, MD, MS, MBA, a professor of radiology at the University of Washington School of Medicine. One of those past mistakes in mammography, according to the authors, was adjunct computer-aided detection, or CAD tools, which grew rapidly in popularity in the field of breast cancer screening starting more than 2 decades ago. CAD was approved by the FDA in 1998, and by 2016, more than 92% of U.S. imaging facilities were using the technology to interpret mammograms and hunt for tumors. But the evidence showed CAD did not improve mammography accuracy. CAD tools are associated with increased false positive rates, leading to overdiagnosis of ductal carcinoma in situ and unnecessary diagnostic testing, the authors wrote. Medicare stopped paying for CAD in 2018, but by then, the tools had racked up more than $400 million a year in unnecessary health costs. Are there risks of using AI to grow food? Imagine a field of wheat that extends to the horizon, being grown for flour that will be made into bread to feed cities' worth of people. Imagine all that authority for tilling, planting, fertilizing, monitoring, and harvesting this field has been delegated to artificial intelligence. Algorithms that control drip irrigation systems, self-driving tractors, and combine harvesters, clever enough to respond to the weather and the exact needs of the crop. Then imagine a hacker messes things up. A new risk analysis published recently in the journal Nature Machine Intelligence, warns that the future use of artificial intelligence in agriculture comes with substantial potential risks for farms, farmers, and food security that are poorly understood and underappreciated. The idea of intelligent machines running farms is not science fiction. Large companies are already pioneering the next generation of autonomous ag bots and decision support systems that will replace humans in the field, said Dr. Asaf Tzachor in the University of Cambridge's Center for the Study of Existential Risk, or CSER. But so far, no one seems to have asked the question, are there any risks associated with a rapid deployment of agricultural AI, he added. Despite the huge promise of AI for improving crop management and agricultural productivity, potential risks must be addressed responsibly and new technologies properly tested in experimental settings to ensure they are safe and secure against accidental failures, unintended consequences, and cyber attacks, the authors say. With that, we come to the end of this video. Consider subscribing to our channel to join in on all the future fun.